Now I can actually get into the training. So welcome. We have a large unit now. I cannot believe how how happy I am that we're finally staffed up. So here I am. I'm down. I wish I was still in Paris, but I'm here in lovely Albany, New York, down in the corner. And then as I introduce the staff, if you can just turn on your camera real quick and say a quick hello. There is Tammy Cannon. She's sitting on the lovely pumpkins. She's waving. She's one of our training associates. I believe she came in September. So brand spanking new, but she's doing a great job. Is Michael on? He's down in New York City today. Oh, I don't know if he is. All right. So, Tammy came to us from the Department of Labor, and we're very glad we snagged her from there. There's Michael. Michael is standing next to the moose. I guess if you're from Buffalo, you're supposed to know who this moose is. I don't know who the moose is, and he's laughing at me. That's fine.
It's from the Winter Games in Lake Placid.
Okay. See. All right. So there he is. He comes to us from the Research Foundation, the PEDP program. He's also a training associate, has done lots of training in the past as well. And then finally, Brianna Neal in the right lower corner. She's been here over 5 years and was a training assistant and knows pretty much everything there is to know about all the administrative stuff we go through in the education. It's great. So then finally, we're rounding it out with Marlena Diaz, who has been at the various iterations of this commission for over 17 years. She is a deputy director of, and I wrote this down because I always screw it up. Where is it? Deputy Director of Learning Innovation Administration. It's a very long title. She's fabulous. She does a million different things for every unit in this commission. So she will be taking over the second half of our presentation today. All right, so you know who we are. Well, let's get into this fun stuff that we've been dealing with in the last year and a half or so. So a lot of you, now we got about 134 people. A lot of you have been doing this for a long time. Some of you may be kind of new to dealing with the ethics training aspects at your agency. So I'm going to go briefly through all the training requirements and how it's changed. As some of you may know, until July of last year, that's when the statute, when we started COELIG, went from JCOHOPE to COELIG. Before that, it was only financial disclosure filers that had to take live training, and it was only every 3 years. Okay, you know, it was a pretty big haul, 30,000 or so people. I think the completion rate, the delinquency rate was only 5% or something. So that was pretty easy to handle. Come July 2022, and we all know the statute changed, and now every single officer and employee across the state has to take live ethics training every other year, and in those in between years, we have online training. So let's just talk about both of those briefly. So the way the statute changes now, this live CETC, if you're new to state service, has to be taken within the first 90 days of when you're either appointed or when you start your state service. All right. So then once those people get in, you take it every other year. Well, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Yep. So, and as was before, it is required to be live, meaning that you give participants an opportunity to ask questions in real time. And that can be live in a room. You know, we haven't started our actual live in a room trainings back up again. Hopefully we will soon. Or a format like Zoom or WebEx, just a way so people can communicate with you about questions right then and there during that training. Then on those every other year cycles, whether your folks are not taking the live training, we have the online refresher course. So as crazy as it sounds, yes, now everyone has to take some sort of ethics training every year, whether it be live or online. Right now, I'm going to talk about this. Yeah, let's get into the on-demand. I'm going to go to the next slide. All right. So the on-demand ethics training, we're going to spend a few minutes on this. We did just launch this for agencies which have access to SLMS. And so that happened in October. I think a lot of people are starting to get into that. The agency SLMS administrators, you can enroll your employees in the training. The general rule that we've put out there is if your staff has who have not taken anything, and we're trying to get them into this by the end of the year. Oh, you have what, 27 days? All right, so try to get those folks in there. We are rolling out access to everyone else. So yes, the agencies have access to SLMS. Hopefully you're going to be able to get a lot of your people in there. There are probably a lot of people on today from SUNY and CUNY, and we'll talk about MTA as well. So Marlene and I have been talking with IT staff and the Ethics Council at both CUNY and SUNY and MTA, and we are working on getting that rolled out to you all. So don't fret yet, but it is a work in progress. We keep trying to schedule meetings, holidays happen, so we are working on that as well. So it is available as a SCORM or an HTML zip file, and Marlena can talk a little bit about that when it gets to her part in a few minutes. And that can be used for agencies that have their own learning management system that's outside of SLMS. Okay, and then finally, so right now, this will qualify for that online refresher training. So if you have a bunch of staff that is already, has taken the live CETC, then if it's time for them, get them into this. Let me see. We'll have a question. A lot of agencies have said, okay, so I had all my people take, all my filers took, FDS filers took it last year in 2022. So those people should be getting into this online on-demand ethics training by the end of this year. As always, you can always do live. You can do live until the cows come home. So that's always an option as well. Right. All right, so we're going to talk for a few minutes about the well, actually, let me take a break. Do we want to have any raised hands, any questions about on-demand before we go on to anything else? I'll give my staff a minute to see. All right, I see a raised hand from, I'm going to take Christina first. So Christina Smith, if you want to unmute yourself, and then you can ask your question. I hope you can unmute. If you can't, I will do it for you. Let me try it. There we go.
Thank you. Yes, I couldn't. So I'm glad you were able to acknowledge that. So I apologize. So is it my understanding correct that this on-demand ethics training is taking the place of, I'm not understanding, because the guidance that we got from you said everybody had to take a live one this year and then every other year was an online refresher. So this on-demand ethics training, which is not the CETC and which is not the ORERC, what is it meant to take the place of? A live CETC or the online refresher for next year?
No, it takes place of the online. So you have you have live, you have online, live, online. And so if your people are all caught up on live, then they should be taking this on demand. And then the
This
next
would
year
be their online demand for next year.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing. There's something going on with my computer. Can you repeat yourself?
No, that's fine. I was unclear what this on-demand refresher was taking the place of, because it was just unclear the way you were phrasing it. So I just wanted to make sure, if you've taken the CETC, you have no business taking the on-demand ethics refresher until the next year.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to mute you again, or let's see. I'm going to take Sloan now. Or did you lower your hand? No, I'm going to unmute Sloan. Sloan, my daughter's name is Sloan. I think I've talked to you about this before. So what's your question?
Your daughter has a fabulous name.
I know she does. It's the best name ever.
Anyway, here's my question. It's about the tracking. I know that the FDS...
You know what?
Let me talk about that.
We're going to talk about that.
Okay,
so if there's any more questions about on demand, I promise you guys we're going to get
tracking the on demand though. That's the thing.
We're going to get there.
Okay. Thank you.
We're going to get there. I think we've covered everything, and then maybe I'll hold questions for now until the end. Maybe that will work better. Because I'm pretty sure we've covered most everything. I'm sure you guys will throw us a few curveballs, but we'll keep rolling for now.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about the comprehensive ethics training course. So Marlena and crew, we just redesigned the CETC. I think it looks very lovely. And the other thing you should know, and we're going to put this out soon. I don't think it's out yet, Marlena, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think what we're going to plan to do is internally, my staff and I are going to record one and then put it like a train the trainer out on a video for you guys to view. It's the same material, nothing has changed really except for where things are in there. So we changed the trainer notes just for segues to go where different slides are. Same stuff, different look, some material in different places. And so we'll be releasing those soon. We'll be releasing the training notes. Now the ethics handbook was also redesigned and is a beautiful pamphlet, and that is already online. And when you are signing your people up for your internal trainings, you can add a link onto there and to give that to your people. So what else is new with the CETC? So we have this nice new design. And when we take this and you see it, you'll understand more about what I'm talking about. But we have gotten a lot of feedback where the commission wants us to have more interaction with the participants. I know post-COVID it's hard, but we have decided we do use WebEx, and we have implemented polling questions for our attendance and engagement. So instead of having a code word, we make the polling questions mandatory, and the way that WebEx works, it shows who's answered and all these lovely things. So we suggest that you use that. It is not mandatory. Whatever way you feel comfortable tracking your attendance. It could be by code word or polls, whatever. I know Zoom and WebEx and whatever you might be using have different ways to record this. So that's what we're doing. That's a new feature of what we're doing. And so we're monitoring attendance in that way. We've also launched a new online Google form and have PDF evaluations. It was quite a mess because the way we were having it was, people would register by email and everything was going out. It was just the system was not efficient. So the online Google Forms is working much better for us, and that might be something else that you all want to use. Right, so we'll move on here. I talked about the ethics handbook. It is online here. Okay, so another topic that has been a hot topic amongst all of you is, can I modify the agencies have zero tolerance policies, for example, regarding gifts. You can always add on. But however, you have to make sure that you, at the very least, cover all the subject areas that we do cover in the CETC. Feel free to add on. Now, the on-demand is something different. That is not customizable at this moment. We have suggested to agencies who have asked, maybe when you are signing your people up for it, you add on an extra memo that has your own agency's policies on it so that people aren't confused. So this is just requests to modify that live training. We also have had a lot of questions about, can an agency record the CETC as a substitute for that live delivery and have a moderator present to take questions at the end? At this point, we are not approving that. That might change in the future, but at this point, all of the CETCs have to be full on live without a video recording. So with that, I think I have gotten through my part, and I'm going to transfer over control to Marlena.
I think I'm muted. Can everyone see the PowerPoint? Okay, I'm just gonna go
We can see you.
quickly.
We can see you,
All right.
Marlena, and we can hear you.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just gonna take you through some of the improvements that we've been working on here at the education training team. So we have been making some improvements to our website. So for those of you who may not have been on our website recently, the information pretty much is the same. We have been working on updating a lot of our materials. If you're looking specifically for information geared towards ethics officers, for those of you who may be doing training within your agencies, then I strongly recommend that you take a look at the Info for Ethics Officer section of our webpage, as well as the Statewide Ethics Training Information site. We do include information, like if you don't know, let's say, what the SLMS course code is for the on-demand CETC, all of that information is available on that Statewide Ethics Training information, as well as our CETC materials, that plain language guide, that ethics handbook that Megan had talked about briefly. And we do recommend that, for your employees, if they need more information regarding any of our ethics rules, they can take a look at the info for New York State employees. Our course offerings page is pretty much the same, but we wanted to take a moment to kind of draw your eye to that in case you're new to the website or in case you haven't visited the website in some time. As Megan had stated, we are trying to streamline our enrollment process. Now that we've onboarded, our new fabulous trainers, for our open session trainings, we noticed that it was becoming kind of an administrative nightmare for us to deal, with the shared inbox and things of that nature. So this is why we are utilizing Google Forms. So I do recommend that if for whatever reason your specific organization is blocked from being able to use Google Forms, that you ask your ITS folks to provide you with the necessary permissions to be able to utilize this. This allows us the flexibility of offering a lot more training sessions and being able to streamline our administrative process. So we will be releasing our open session CETC training schedule very shortly. We do have a significant amount of dates already open for 2024. So keep an eye on your inbox because we'll be releasing those dates both on the website and via our normal communication streams. In addition to that, as Megan mentioned, we do have new online CETC evaluations. For those folks who do attend our open session trainings and that may not have the availability of utilizing the Google format, we do also provide PDF versions as well. But we have really put more detailed information into our CETC evaluations. I'm not sure if anyone utilizes Google so far, but they have really great metrics available for you. So this is why we've transitioned in being able to use this platform. Now, beginning in January 9th of 2024, so January 9th of the coming year, we're going to be releasing our agency-specific training schedule. So this is something that we're really excited to do. So basically, what we'll be able to do is you're going to be able to go onto our website, you'll go onto our Google Calendar, and just like you would to any kind of service provider, you can take a look at our calendar and reserve a date and time to be able to have us conduct a training on your behalf for your agency. So basically, we provide the trainers, you provide the administrative support. So we'll be reserving a date and time utilizing our Google Booking. Again, we'll be notifying all of our agency ethics officers as well as our training designees as to the schedule. So far, we're reserving every Tuesday starting January 9th. For the most part, you will need to be responsible for the administrative support. It's the only way because we don't have a dedicated LMS that we can utilize to be able to enroll people outside of all different agencies. So in order for us to be able to expand our training opportunities, we ask that you would be the one responsible for that administrative support, which for you would look like enrolling your folks, notifying your folks, and just providing us, or we would provide you with the WebEx link for that training. So agencies with SLMS, you would be able to utilize SLMS to enroll your own employees. And agencies without SLMS, you'll be able to utilize whatever your existing system is to facilitate your scheduling and enrollment. And once you book your session, a member of our training team will be in contact with you, and that way we can kind of flesh out those details a little bit more. Now, as some of you may be aware, this is our 2023-2025 training schedule. I have seen some questions within the chat with regards to the on-demand CETC. I'm sure Megan will chime in here with me shortly. But just to clarify, we have been meeting specifically with certain agencies, and we want to be able to communicate one thing. So the live training requirement doesn't ever go away. We've gotten a few meetings with some of our agency ethics officers where there seems to be a misunderstanding that if I take the live training one time, I can continue to just take the on-demand CETC or an online refresher course, and that satisfies the requirements. So just to be clear, you are expected to do live training every other year. So as Megan had stated, it's live training year one. For the refresher training, you do have the option of being able to either take the on-demand CETC, and of course that's only available to those agencies that either have access to SLMS or have access to their own learning management system where they're able to upload either that SCORM or HTML training. And then the following year, they would be required again to take live training. So that live training requirement doesn't ever go away. Are there any questions so far regarding that? Anyone?
Marlena,
Yeah.
Yvonne, gosh, Yvonne, I think you're from DFS. Gosh, you all roll into each other. You know, get them in as soon as you can. They do have that 90 days. I hope that answers your question.
So we wanted to take a moment to kind of help everyone understand what our reporting requirements are, right? So what are our reporting obligations as COELIG? So we are required to provide quarterly aggregate statistics, and we do that on a quarterly basis to the governor and the legislature in writing. So in addition to that, we also provide monthly reporting stats, and those typically occur during our monthly commission meetings, where we'll just give an aggregate figure of the total number of folks that have been trained, both by us and statewide. Our quarterly reporting, as I mentioned, is submitted to the executive chamber, and it follows your general calendar schedule. So, you know, quarter one is Jan through March. Quarter two is April through June, quarter three, July through September, and so on and so forth. And recently, I believe regarding statewide training. Now, the reason why we wanted to be able to share this information with you is so that when you're planning your training calendars for the upcoming year, for 2024, it gives you an idea, especially for those agencies that have reached out to us privately, who may not have a lot of resources when it comes to being able to train their staff, or who are just frankly struggling with being able to keep up with training such a large number of people. That when it comes to our reporting obligations, we recommend that when you're scheduling your trainings for that period of time, that these are the times that you do your big pushes, especially if you're concerned already about your training numbers. These training figures are made publicly available on our website, so we want to give you that opportunity to be able to reach out to us if you need to do an agency-specific training to help you catch up, or if you want to make sure that your numbers look good during these periods of time. Now, we've had some questions regarding tracking monthly statistics. For now, we do encourage those ethics officers and agency contacts to discontinue tracking your monthly training numbers in the FCS system. Right now, the FCS system is utilizing the old PURA training schedule. So we don't recommend that you do that right now. We want you to be able to create a system to track all of your employees internally until further notice. Because the requirement has expanded outside of that FCS umbrella, it makes more sense, especially when you're doing your own internal tracking, to be able to track all of your employees seamlessly in one type of document, whatever that looks like to you. Now, some of the tracking information for non-SLMS users that we recommend that you have, obviously, is your agency name, especially for those agencies or for those ethics officers who are both handling both parent and subsidiary agencies. For your employee data, right now, you should only really be tracking, obviously, their first and last name, their email address, when they completed the live CETC, and when they need to complete the on-demand CETC. Now, I know this is something that both our education training team and Megan are both really curious about, so we kind of wanted to take a couple of minutes to open this up and ask all of you, what methods are you currently utilizing to track your employees? I see Yvonne says that you track an SLMS. I see a few folks SLMS, a couple of people in Excel.
Marlene, I did see at least one person say FDS. So we should probably, if we haven't.
A Google form and spreadsheet. I appreciate all of this feedback from everyone. For those of you who are utilizing SLMS, are you utilizing any type of custom notifications to remind folks? Excel spreadsheet, I'm seeing a lot of Excel spreadsheets. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate all of the feedback. Megan, do you have any questions for anyone?
There were a couple questions before this. Should we wait to the end, or would you want to keep going?
Let's see. Well, we can keep going. I'm just going to switch out my screen 1 second.
Okay, I'll check off the questions that I keep looking at. All right.
Oh, I see a question from Daniel asking if we will be turning the training component of the FCS system off. That's actually something that we have been discussing with our ITS partners. And if that makes sense, that's something that we actually may pursue.
I'll bring up another question since we're just taking a second here. Sloan asks, has the commission determined any repercussions for those individuals who still refuse to complete ethics training? There are still some holdouts who refuse training. Well, all right, so the statute has, let me put my video back. Regards to, there are no penalties yet for not taking training. However, I mean, one thing that has changed is when we do this reporting, this quarterly reporting to the governor and to the legislature, and then this annual report, we just released the annual report, and we are required to put out the percentages of each agency about how many their compliance number, which will also lend itself to what the delinquency number is. So in that sense, the agencies who have not been doing as many trainings, I'm not sure that information has come out in that annual report. So while we're not at the individual level yet, that always could change.
I see another question regarding, are agencies permitted to host their own sessions, or do they only need to rely on us for COELIG to do their sessions? Absolutely not. So you're more than welcome, and we encourage you to actually be hosting your own live CETC training sessions. For specific agencies that do have stricter policies, as an example, there's certain agencies that have absolutely zero gifts. So, others may allow that cup of coffee, intermittently, but there's some that have an absolute zero gift policy. So yes, to answer that question, you are 100% absolutely permitted to do your own training sessions. As Megan had stated before, you're more than welcome to utilize our materials. We do have that new ethics handbook up on our website, and we will be letting everyone have access to our new redesigned PowerPoint as well as our trainer notes very, very shortly. So, stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you can continue to utilize those materials that we make available on our website. But yes, you most 100% can. As Megan stated, the only real thing that you need to be mindful of is, we encourage you to do that because if you have stricter policies, you're able to incorporate that within your training. But one of the things that you're not allowed to do is to remove a lot of that information off of our training. We need our state officers and employees to have a consistent training statewide. The only thing that we do say is that if you know that you're going to be training and there's absolutely zero FDS filers in that group, then, you're more than welcome to skip the FDS section of it. But everything else, needs to be trained.
Marlena, Juan asks, and I think we were talking about this the other day, and you're probably better to speak to it than I am. For SLMS users, if COELIG sets up a SLMS course for the CETC, like OER does for courses, it would be easier to track, especially when people transfer agencies, since courses are not consistent.
That's a great question and feedback. We actually do have a meeting scheduled with the SLMS folks because we are trying to come up with some solutions for those folks who do have access to SLMS. Because right now we're not able to register people for our live trainings outside of our own learner groups. For those of you who have access to SLMS, some of this vernacular may sound familiar to you. So we are asking those SLMS folks to kind of assist us in creating one umbrella live CETC course and to see what type of functionality might be available, because I agree, I think it might help streamline and it might help give other agencies the ability to administer those class rosters a little bit more efficiently. So that is in the works. It's not in play yet, but it is in the works. So I thought I would take a little bit of time. I'm going to switch out my screen. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. Can everyone see something that says dashboard in the front? Oh, I see thumbs up. Awesome. Okay. So we wanted to also give you kind of a bit of an update as to another major project that we've been working on here, as part of the training team. So many of you are very familiar with the emails that get sent out both by Megan and by Brianna and other members of the education team asking for your monthly training statistics. So in order to be able to kind of streamline that process and give both us here at COELIG better statistics and also allow you to kind of organize yourselves a little bit more as well, we've been working with our ITS partners in developing this online monthly. I'm logged in as an agency user, which would be how all of you on this call would be logged in. So that would be anyone that is an agency ethics officer, anyone that's an agency contact. We're also going to be releasing a new entitlement, which is basically just a different level of permission for this application, and we're calling those folks training compliance officers. And basically, we recommend that anyone that's data entering those monthly training statistics or have anything to do with training who's not an ethics officer kind of would label themselves as a training compliance officer. It's a new entitlement. It's a new entitlement that we did not have available in FDS that we thought just made more sense here. So this would be your typical dashboard. So anytime you would log in and you would need a my.ny.gov ID in order to access it, it would just be like accessing any of your other ny.gov permissions, whether it's SLMS or New York State payroll, it would work exactly the same, or the FDS system. So you would come in and you would see this. And it would give you right on your dashboard if you were overdue or if you were delinquent and not being able to submit your monthly training. It would give you a snapshot as to what needed to be submitted. Once you submit it, it will also give you information on your previous month submissions. And for those who may have to submit training statistics for more than one agency, it would also give you information right on your dashboard as to who your agencies are. So when you want to submit your monthly training statistics, right now it would be very simple. You would select your reporting year, your reporting month. It would only display those agencies that you have access to. I just want to take a moment to just illustrate the fact that this is all test data right now. And then you would just data enter the same information that you provide to us in email format. You would just submit it, though, electronically here. So you would just data enter in your numbers, how many live CETC sessions you held for that particular period of time, the number of employees that completed it. We are also asking, because the on-demand CETC is available on SLMS, that you also now start including that information for how many folks completed the on-demand CETC and how many completed refresher training. It's very simple. You hit submit. It'll provide you and anyone listed in your agency as having permission to access this application with a confirmation email, just letting you know that that information has been received. It will also remind you when you need to submit those monthly training statistics to us, and will also remind you if you're overdue. Now, there can be sometimes turnaround in agencies, so we wanted to give you the flexibility as well as being able to assign folks within your agency to be able to utilize the application. The only information that you would really need other than their general contact information would be their ny.gov ID and their employee ID. And then you can assign their user. Are they an agency contact, an ethics officer, or a training compliance officer? Now, each one of these different roles allows individuals to both submit training statistics on behalf of their agency as well as run reports related to their agency. And we'll just give you an example of one of our monthly training compliance reports. You would just select the year, you select a given month, and then it will just display for you, what that information is. So here, just as an example, it'll give you an aggregate snapshot as well as, the specific information. I just want to be clear that this is not tracking on the employee level. I know that we've all been really hoping to have a standardized statewide tracking for on the employee level. This does not do that. This is right now just helping facilitate those monthly, quarterly, and yearly statistics, just to be clear. And the same function for the quarterly compliance report. You would just pick a year, select the quarter, you would run the report, and it would give you the status. For here, it tells you that it's partially submitted, which means that in this case, that one of the reports is missing, that you needed to either submit either February or March or January. So it gives you a little bit of information. You can also view your agency information. It's all at a click of a button. Again, this is test data. So don't get too concerned if you see something that isn't accurate, but this gives you a great snapshot too as to those agency users that are authorized to access the system and what their entitlement is. So basically what their role is in the system, and it gives you a pretty great snapshot as to what all of your training statistics are that you've already submitted. So as it gets closer to launch date, we're hoping to be able to launch this probably mid to late January of 2024. As it gets closer, we'll obviously give you more than enough awareness. We'll schedule a specific ethics forum just related to the application in case there's any questions. We'll do a demo, we'll have a video online. We'll have your standard click here instructions to help you utilize the system. Now, do we have any questions related to the application?
Marlena, there were a couple. First of all, let me just say that, let me start my video again. That Brianna and I, when this launches, I'm going to throw a party because I know you all are sick of my emails. They used to be lovely, long and flowery. Please send us blah, blah, blah. And now I email people and I say, hey, October stats, please. I mean, it's like one sentence emails, but it works. I can't tell you how excited I'll be. So we do have a couple questions. Jennifer asks, do we report a running total each month or of the employees during the who completed during that particular month? So yeah, so what for example, I think after this training today, we'll send out the email. Brianna will send out our email since we don't have this system online yet. She'll send them out for November since we just ended November. And so it will be just for that month. So you report how many people do you have in your agency at the end of the month and how many people have taken the CETC. And now, at least for SLMS folks and maybe some other agencies who have been able to get access to the on-demand, if you have access to that and you have been able to enroll your people in it and all that good stuff, also add in those stats. Again, we understand for the CUNY, SUNY, MTA, this is a work in progress. So don't fret, but we're working on it. And also she asked, in addition to paid staff, we have a council of appointed volunteers that are required FDS filers. What training requirements for them? Again, if you're new to this ethics training world, we do have different versions of the CETC that you can use. If you have just a council of unpaid volunteers, we call them either per diem or non-paid officers or employees, there is a training online that you can use that is, I forget what we call it. It might be the Ethics Express or something like that, but it takes out all of the FDS material and I believe all of the Public Officers Law Section 73 material, because it's really only 74 that applies to those people. So make sure that you find that one, and if you have any problems finding it, we can give us a ring or send us an email. Let me see, what else do we have? So Megan asks, Megan Diageo, I don't want to butcher your last name, but great first name, Megan. Sorry if I missed this. What's the tentative release date for the refresher? The refresher is the on-demand right now. We right now we may end up doing a shorter one in the future, but right now, if you need people to get into your online, every other year online, the on-demand is the one. Geraldine, when will CUNY get access? As I said, we're working on it. And as soon as Marlena and I have those meetings and we figure those out with your IT people, you will get a release. We will not keep you in the dark, believe me. What else are we seeing here?
Megan, there was another question about the ny.gov access. Will it be automatic, or will people have to request access to it?
That's, I think, a good question for Marlena.
So right now, anyone that is currently using the FDS system and already has an account with us to utilize that FDS system has been migrated to this system. So once it launches, day one, you should be able to see a new button under that ny.gov that'll say like the statewide ethics training application. Otherwise, you know, we'll have like detailed information on what to do in case that in case for whatever reason your information wasn't imported. But it's automatic for the majority of you. How about that? For anyone new that you need to add on, you would be able to do that yourself, or you can contact us and we can do it for them.
Michelle over at OGS. Hi, Michelle. You said there's a discussion about only presenting part of the CETC if you have all non-FDS filers. Yeah, no, go ahead and use that CETC just for the non-filers. You might as well, since we have it and it's ready for you. What else do we have here? When do you plan to release updated training materials, Marlena? Probably, you know, probably the next week or two, I'm hoping.
Yes, yes.
You all have the questions. Let's see.
So to answer, Eugen, to answer your question, would you get access? If you're talking about that new application that I demoed, 100%, everyone on this call would be able to have access as long as you have an ny.gov ID. And then you would just be receiving these system-generated notifications telling you that, as a reminder, you're due to submit those monthly stats, either confirmation that you've already submitted with us, or that you're overdue. So anyone that is an ethics officer that needs to report training statistics to us will have access to that monthly aggregate reporting system.
And at least email me privately because we can chat about your question. Hannah, I probably missed this. Okay. You said you're just starting as an ethics officer at SUNY Albany. Do you need to be, so SUNY is one of the agencies that does not have access to SLMS for this training. Marlena and I are in contact with one of the Ethics Council over there, Kara Palumbo, and so we are working on it. Stay patient, CUNY, SUNY, please. We're working on it, and we're hoping it gets accomplished soon. So you'll get an announcement from us when that's ready for you all to have access to.
And to answer Barbara's question, if you're asking about either the CETC or the on-demand, yes, you know, it's really not about FDS filers anymore, right? Like it's everyone now that has to take, you know, live ethics training every other year. So Juan Carlos, to answer your question, that's exactly what we're meeting with SLMS about. You know, for me, I don't always find SLMS to be incredibly intuitive, so we're looking for them to provide us, you know, with a best practice in terms of how we should be setting up those courses. So right now, the only course catalog that we have is that on-demand CETC that everyone has access to. So we're looking to see if it might be better for us to develop just one course for the live CETC that we make available to all of our agencies to kind of help streamline that query. So that is something that we are meeting with them. I don't have any more answers for you regarding that, but that's something that we are looking to explore with them.
Marlena, we have another question regarding, so when we put out the calendar for the agency specific, now our plan is to start those on not that first Tuesday of January, but the second. When are we planning on putting that? I think we're getting the kinks out of that calendar, but when are we planning to release that?
So we will be doing it within the next 2 weeks. We'll be making that announcement formal. But as Megan stated, we're starting that beginning January 9th, 2024 will be the first reservation. And it's the same time that these folks generally hold their regular CETC. So it's still going to be that 1 to 2:30 time slots.
All right, let me read Risa's out loud. Hi, Risa. If an employee takes the live 90-day, so she takes a live CETC, the same year that the online version is required is a way we can wait. So if they take the live, let's just say, I'm just going to say today, let's say one of your OSC people took the training today on December 4th, then they don't have to, then they need to get into the online on-demand course by by the end of next year. So it's going to be on, every other year. I'm hoping that answers your question. Oh my goodness, I think I'm going to turn the chat off. Let's see. Will agencies have the option to allow COELIG to conduct all live trainings as long as we register our employees? We're using, what I'm going to say to the person that answered this or asked this is that our agency specific are not necessarily meant for to train your entire agency. We're hoping it helps. Let me remind you, we are only 4 people that are doing the training, and so for 300,000 people, we're going to try to do as many as we can to help you guys out, but we want to make sure that you all are also conducting your own trainings as well. I'm not sure, boy, they're going so fast, I'm not sure what to. Does anyone, is it Michael or Brianna or Tammy, can you pick one out that I might have missed?
So to answer Annalise, since teaching faculty have set schedules, is there any chance of offering the sessions on another day of the week? So if you're inquiring about our agency-specific training schedule, then just send us an email at education@ethics.ny.gov, and we can see if we can, if you have a particular date or day of the week in mind that works better for your faculty, then reach out to us, and then me and Megan, we can set up a personalized meeting with you and then figure out what we can do to kind of assist that request.
Sean, I'm going to answer your question. Because the questions are coming fast and furious. You said, why is there still a plan for refresher training when the on-demand exists? I'd hate for our staff to take the on-demand and then get a refresher. Well, let's say that in June, we put out a revised version of a refresher that was maybe 20 slides or something. That doesn't mean that your people would have to go back and take that as well, because the on-demand at this point does count as that refresher training. So they get that refresher training, whether it be the on-demand or one we do later, it will always count. So don't worry about that. Right now, we are very busy, so we don't have anything in the works yet, but that could always happen in the future where we release even a shorter one.
Yes, and it's important to note that the refresher training does give you a little bit of flexibility, right? When it comes to figuring out your planning and your training calendar. So you can either have folks, if you have access to the on-demand, you can either have folks take that on-demand CETC via SLMS or your own learning management system, or you can put them in a live training. You do have a little bit of flexibility there. The only time you really don't have flexibility is with regards to the live training. The live training does have to be live, whether you're doing it either in person or you're doing it utilizing some type of, WebEx, Zoom, or, Google or Teams technology.
So Nadine says, if we don't have SLMS, what are the tools we can utilize to help achieve our training goals? The online would be able to be uploaded to our own LMS. Nadine, you are from one of the hospitals, I know. I can't remember which one. Why don't you email Marlena and I, and we can talk about what LMS system you guys might be using, because some of you we have to go agency by agency, because some of you have none of the above. So if you're one of those agencies that is one of these, well, we've been kind of calling outlier agencies that doesn't fit into any LMS package, let us know and we'll start to work with you to get you access to that. Nadine, yeah, Erie County. See, I know most of you, but 200 people. It's hard. I knew you were from a hospital. Let's see. Will there be a limit to the number of employees that can be enrolled for agency specific? Where are we on numbers? I think is it 200? Or are we going above that? I forget the number.
I think the answer to that question is we probably need more information as to what number you're hoping to, because it may not be a limitation on our end, but so much as a limitation on whatever software you're using, whether it's WebEx or, you know, for us, for webinar, I think we have up to 1,000 folks we might be able to do if we're utilizing, let's say, webinar. But if you're using something else, let's say you're using Teams or Google or Zoom, those figures, you know, may change. So definitely reach out to us, and that way we can, you know, schedule a call, perhaps do some testing and figure out if maybe we need to work a little bit more around your specific situation.
There are a couple people who ask about an accessible version. We're working on that as well. You know, drop me another line so we can keep a list of folks that need that. I do know of a few, but we are definitely working on that as well.
So for an interim solution, we do have a PDF version available that also annotates all of the voiceover, all of the test questions and feedback responses. So for anyone that needs that as an interim solution, while we get an online accessible version ready, please email us and we can send that out to you.
And we don't mean to not let any of you talk, but a lot of you have been using chat. So are there any of our unit staff on, are there any raised hands right now that you could call on? Am I going to open the floodgates?
I don't see any raised hands, just lots of questions in the chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to what Yvonne asked about in the chat area, about how many agency-specific trainings will be allotted per agency per year. And then the second question I can answer right now is, should agencies still continue to hold internal in-person sessions? And the answer is yes. But I definitely speak to Megan and Marlena about how many agency-specific trainings we might be able to help you with.
And right now we only have January and February, but we're definitely we're kind of just putting those out now since it's new, or we want to make sure it works well. So after a few in January, we'll probably open up you know, into other months, but if it crashes and burns in our face, we don't we don't want it to you know, already have people signed up throughout the year. So stay tuned. What else? Anything else, everybody? I'm hoping that we answered most of your questions. And as always, please, you know, please email us. We're doing this today because you all are very active community, and it was about time for us to get on here and give you some updates. And please know that we are always available for your questions by the education inbox, because that's always going to get to us. We all have, you know, we're always constantly reviewing that. See if there's anything else.
I'm not sure if we answered Annalise's question, but just to circle back to this, if someone didn't do the training in 2023 and they attend a live session in 2024, do they still have to do the online on demand in 24 as well? No. So if they take a live training in 2024, then they're all set for that year's training requirement. And then in 2025, you can decide what makes more sense to you. Do they take the on-demand in 2025, that online course, or should they just retake another live training, depending on your scheduling, availability, those types of factors? So no, it's only one training course per year.
Annalise, you said we can use the same training as we used in 2023. Yeah, you know, whatever we have out right now, you can, until we launch that other one, it's fine, whatever you're going to be using. Again, the one that we're going to be launching in the next week or two is not different. It's just set up differently. So same topics, just, you know, we talk about, I think, like the commission instead of the beginning, we put some of that information at the end. So whatever you have is fine. Oh, this is a good question. Yeah, Louise, I think this might be Louise Nestler. If we complete our trainees for a calendar year, do we need to continue to submit reports? Yes, please. A lot of you might be, or some of you might be from small agencies where you get everyone done in you know, one day. I mean, I have some folks that we have like 20-person agencies continue just to report 0, 0, 0, 0, you know, and because you want to make sure that your agency is compliant with submitting us statistics, even if it's 0 for most of the year. I know a lot, and this is, Sloan says we have more than 2,500. Yeah. I'm wishing you luck. That's why part of our hopefully solution to help you all is to have some of those agency specific ones. So at least we can help you with part of your very large training community, or, you know, number of employees that you have to get done. I think that might be it. It's slowing up. Anything else before we close this forum today? You guys have been great. I knew Marlene and I knew we were going to have a very active session. Christine Fecco, what about the calendar year question? I'm not sure. I may have missed your earlier question. Let me see if I can find you and I can unmute you. Hold on.
It's the question in the chat from Anna. I just lost it there. There we go. Moving forward, is it a calendar year versus 12 months from when you last attended or completed a CETC?
Oh, we really haven't talked about that, Marlene, have we? I mean, we're
So generally the rule that we followed historically was if you took training today, let's say you took it today at 12/4/2023, then you wouldn't be due again until 12/4/2024. So you have a year to get those folks in the next training, whether that's the on-demand or retaking the live.
Ariel says a standard compliance report for ethics in SLMS that takes into account the alternating live and on-demand would be extremely helpful.
We agree.
Yeah.
We agree wholeheartedly. We're going to be meeting with them to see what some of those options, if any, may look like.
Sonia, you and I can talk offline. My friend Sonia, we'll talk about that. She has a question about some of her employees. I mean, this does continue to be an issue for a lot of you, and I will address it briefly. You have seasonal people coming in. You have, as Sonia says, she sometimes has one-day people. You do the best you can with if and when they're there, if there's time to give them ethics training. That this is an ongoing issue for people who have you know, seasonal employees. Continue to contact us so we can, you know, help you and figure out those issues. Let's see. I think that might be it. If we didn't get to your question today, email education and we can get back to you.